Investigators have never released 15-year-old Deborah Grabher's cause of death, but the discovery of her remains has been widely publicized. Salt Lake City police suspect that someone close to Deborah is responsible for her murder, and they have 3 failed polygraph tests that they believe point them in the right direction. It's our 28th week, and we are in Utah. Deborah was initially from California, but her parents, Patrick and Cynthia, would later separate. Her father moved to Nevada, and her mother moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. Deborah was described as quiet but quick-witted and kind. She enjoyed writing poetry and reading and was known to care about her appearance. She dreamed of becoming a fashion model. Deborah primarily lived with her father in Nevada, but as she became a teen, he became overwhelmed with her behavior and sent her to a group home in Ohio. Why she was sent to this group home before her mother's home, I don't have those answers. But Deborah does run away from this group home in Ohio and ends up with her mother, Cindy, in Salt Lake City, Utah. In 1992, Deborah is now 15, and she is attending the West High School in Salt Lake City. On Thursday, January 16, 1992, Deborah's mom came home after her graveyard shift at the nursing home and was told by her live-in girlfriend, Catherine Fredrickson, that Deborah had left for school that morning around 6:30 a.m. in her winter gear, carrying the most recent book she had been reading, Hollywood Husbands. That afternoon, when Deborah didn't come home from school, Cindy was concerned, but she waited till around 8 p.m. before calling Deborah's probation officer to notify them that she was missing. She then waited an additional 2 hours before phoning the police at 10 p.m. to let them know that Deborah had not returned home. Cindy stated because of Deborah's runaway history, the police told her that she needed to wait until the next day to see if Deborah showed up before officially reporting her missing. The following morning on the 17th, the Salt Lake City Police Department received a phone call from a witness saying they saw a transient-looking white person with long, dark hair and a long, thick army coat dumping what looked like a body wrapped in blankets behind a local business. This witness went on to describe that this person was pushing a shopping cart, carrying a bundle of blankets until the shopping cart tipped over because the sidewalk was icy. They then watched this person grab the bundle out of the cart and drag it across the snow-covered parking lot into the bushes. They watched this person walk away and head south towards the direction of Deborah's home, which was just down the street. The witness then walked over to the bundled blanket lying on the ground and nudged it with their feet, and at that point they realized there was most likely a body wrapped inside. When investigators arrived, they found the remains of Deborah wrapped in 2 different blankets and several sheets. Her body was tightly bound with restraints. An autopsy declared that Deborah's death likely occurred during the night between Thursday and Friday, but the cold temperatures could affect the ability to accurately gauge the time of death in her case. The manner of death was ruled a homicide, but the cause of her death, as well as the condition of her body, has never been released by investigators, stating that it is for investigative purposes. Wrapped in the blanket, they did find a copy of the book she was seen leaving with that morning. Deborah was wrapped in a pink bedspread and a very dirty green blanket covered with cigarette burns and grease. The blankets also had black and white animal hairs, and the bottom of the green blanket had been cut off. There were also several bed sheets that investigators were able to determine came from the local Little American Hotel, which was known to donate their old sheets to homeless shelters. A boot print was left in the snow near Deborah's body that appeared to come from a pair of relatively new Outback brand boots. The shopping cart that was used to transport Deborah was taken into evidence, and no physical evidence was recovered from the cart at the time. Since the cart was not protected from contamination while being in storage, there is no future hope of pulling any evidence from that cart. Investigators were able to pull several human hairs from the crime scene, and those have been preserved for future testing. Deborah kept a journal, and investigators found an entry about her being fascinated with a local man. Based on this journal entry, after interviewing the family and classmates of Deborah, they realized that Deborah wasn't dating anyone at school, or did she seem interested in dating anyone at school. But there was a man's house that she would purposely walk her dog past in hopes of getting his attention. There wasn't any more information in their journal that they could use to identify this man, but investigators do believe that he was most likely an older man who lived close by. Deborah's mother, Cindy, and her girlfriend, Catherine, were reportedly questioned repeatedly by police and cooperated with the investigation. Despite Catherine not having an alibi for the time frame that Deborah's murder was, based on the description of the person they saw leaving Deborah's body in the snow, it didn't match Catherine's build. The person was described to be at least 6 foot tall and likely a male based on the build. But Catherine did have an ex-husband named Lawrence who lived about 1.5 miles from Deborah's home, who often visited and was said to be at the house doing drugs with Catherine while Cindy was at work. At some point, Cindy confronted Catherine about her ex-husband coming over all the time when she wasn't there, especially at night. She said Deborah absolutely hated this man and even even once spat on him. Cindy told investigators that the blankets that Deborah was found wrapped in did not come from her home, but when investigators went to Cindy's home, they discovered that all of Deborah's bedding was missing. Investigators stated that they did give Cindy, Catherine, and Lauren's polygraph tests, which all three failed. Cindy said that she only failed hers because she was emotionally suffering from her daughter's murder when she took the polygraph, but she did suspect that Catherine and Lawrence had something to do with her daughter's murder. It's now been 33 years and Deborah's case remains unsolved. If you have any information about the homicide of Deborah, you are asked to contact the Salt Lake City Police Department at 801-799-3100. Please keep sharing Deborah's face in her case so that the people that did this to her can be held accountable, and let them know that she is not forgotten. Thank you so much for taking the time to get to know Deborah today, and when you see those missing and murdered posts on social media, hit like and share. Every time we share a face, we get closer to solving a case, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for another day in Utah.